Recently, I decided to play God of War 2018. I was bored, and this game was just sitting on the virtual shelf of my Steam library for so long, without being touched, it almost took me to couple counseling. This game was cool, and I was expecting diamonds, so the pressure was on to see if I was loading up some real shit, or if the game was real shit. I debated with myself even making this video because when I look online, pretty much every review of the God of War games has been extremely positive. Either both of these games are literally godlike, pun intended, or people are too scared to say anything negative in fear of getting a taste of Spartan rage from the average keyboard warrior. I feel like I'm set for execution, and the axe above my head is your attention span. If I say anything that goes over your head or you're too lazy to try and understand the word sounds coming out of my face hole, then it's GG for me. Not that I have anything to lose anyway. Alright, story time. God of War 2018 redefines the legendary tale of Kratos, the once merciless Greek god of war, in an epic journey set against the backdrop of Norse mythology. Gripped by the recent loss of his wife Faye, Kratos embarks on an odyssey with his young son Atreus to fulfill her final wish, scattering her ashes from the highest peak in the realms. This iteration of the iconic series unfolds a narrative-rich, in-depth, and emotional complexity. Kratos, haunted by his violent past, strives to guide Atreus along a different path, seeking redemption and breaking the cycle of vengeance that defined his life in Greece. The father-son duo faces an array of mythical beings, gods, challenges that test not only their physical prowess, but also the bonds that tie them together. Hold up, fellas. I gotta take the wool off your head real quick. I tried to pull a fast one on you. You've only known me for a short while, but that's long enough to know that half those words I just said are too big for my vocabulary. Yeah, no cap, I was too lazy to write a description myself, so I let ChatGPT do it. This way I wouldn't have to find a proper way to describe the adventures of violent Santa Claus and boy. Anyway, I guess we'll take it from here. Now, unlike the other games, God of War 2018 deals with complex themes such as how to take care of your child now that your wife is dead, and discovering your identity, because even in 2018, it was still 2023. The story itself was actually great. I found both Kratos and Atreus to be very relatable characters. Just like Atreus, my father also leaves me a lot and still hasn't come back from his last trip. Which reminds me, I'm still out of milk. And just like my boy Kratos, I also currently have no bitches. At first, Kratos and Atreus don't get along well. Atreus is still working out the kinks on how to be a mommy's boy without a mom, and Kratos is hyper-focused on not dressing adequately for the weather and increasing his KD. Though some key events, like Kratos getting to hear the inner Yelp review from his child,
"It should have been him. Do you hear me? Him, not you."
And Atreus finding out his father literally went to hell just to grab the Krabby Patty secret formula to wake him up from his coma after trying to go beast mode, they both began to gain a better understanding for each other and start working as a team. You know, typical father and son bonding. Also, Kratos receives head. Mimir's head, to be exact. From this point, the crack team of man, boy, and head venture forth trying to find a way into the realm of people marginally larger than the average people. This involves fighting, avoiding Jigsaw's traps, nearly drowning with Mimir because I'm bad at thinking, and flipping an entire room right side up to confuse Australians. At the end of the game, Kratos gives head to a couple dwarves and goes on a long walk with his son where they finally fill the air with a fistful of dead people powder. Mission accomplished. Genuinely, I found the story of this game to be great. What can I say? It's got some cool characters, great setting, nice scenery, good writing, surprisingly, and a beautifully rendered beard. Gameplay time. Now, just like how making food is a major part of cooking, gameplay is a major part of games. And trust me, amigos, the gameplay in this game definitely makes me feel like I'm gaming while playing a video game. The gameplay is split between two major parts: exploration and combat. I'm going to start with the exploring side first because I probably clickbaited you with the title shit-talking the game, and now I have some explaining to do. One thing to keep in mind about God of War 2018 is that it's a console game that is trying to be accessible to everyone and anyone. Depending on your pain tolerance, this game can be challenging enough for little Timmy to grow a full beard by 5th grade, but simple enough for Grandpa to complete it before his expiry date, depending on how morbid you want to be. A major part of the exploration are the puzzles. Can't see it, but I'm doing the little quotation mark thing. I say puzzles, but they're not really puzzles. More like simple mechanics you're introduced to during your quality bonding time with your son that totally doesn't hate you. Some of these are so simple that I question why even add them in. I understand the devs want to show you how the mechanic works and all, but they've gatekept themselves from creating anything that involves a brain activity in fear of alienating anyone whose diet consists of stupid juice and brain dead burgers. As added insurance, Atreus will spill the beans in solving the non-puzzles before you even get a chance to analyze the situation.
Shouldn't it be winter, spring, summer, autumn?
Apart from Atreus googling all the answers before the test, my only other complaint is the speed of Kratos as he climbs. There's a lot of climbing going on, unlike in my League of Legends career. And for every instance of vertical traversal this man engages in, he climbs up like he's trying to reach the bottom. This man has enough leg strength to rotate an entire bridge, but for some reason doing a little body weight exercise causes him to climb like he's scared of falling off and activating his life alert. These are the only two anchors stopping the exploration at docking at the pier of perfection. At least in my opinion. I might be nitpicking a bit, but fuck you, it's my video. Also, like and subscribe, I need rent money. And hey, if you think I'm nitpicking here, just wait till I talk about the combat. I'll make my current nitpick look like a picnic. This game also features side quests, of which I don't know the reason for their existence. On one hand, having extra side content in games is a great way to give the player an escape from the main story, but still remain on the game. They also provide the opportunity to grind some extra loot and give you a potential power boost. On the other hand, the side quests here don't do anything. Are they fun? Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Do they give you anything for your time? No. Look, I just never felt like I got anything good, alright? Spent my time doing the quest, I did the thingy, and I ended up getting trash. Oh well. It's like ordering a burger at McDonald's and getting chopsticks to eat it with. I just ain't got a reason to use the shit that they gave me. Alright, combat! Suit up fellas, it's fighting time. For my first run of the game, I decided to play on Give Me God of War. Not my brightest moment. I watched my friend's video and saw that it had combat kinda similar to Souls games. And since I really like games like Bloodborne and Elden Ring, I was like, why not, buddy? Now me, being above average on the stupid meter, I found myself wanting to try Give Me God of War just to see how tough it really was. I mean, come on. How bad could it be? Okay, turns out it's pretty rough. Who would have thought, huh? Now from here on out is where I think I'm gonna start angering people. See, I thought the game's combat was hard, but it was more tedious than difficult. When everyone talks about the combat on normal difficulty, the general consensus is that it's a 10 out of 10. In my opinion, that's because there isn't a wrong answer to combat at this level. Whether or not you choose to use your arsenal to its fullest is completely up to you, and regardless of if you do or you don't, the fights feel fine. However, when you play on a harder difficulty like Give Me God of War that's meant to test your skills, that's when you realize how little things actually make sense, you know? When I looked online to see what people were saying about Give Me God of War mode specifically, the conversation seemed to be split between players who try to voice their opinions about the game's design, only for die-hard fans to completely ignore the main arguments because someone tried to criticize their favorite game. Instead of trying to understand what some players' concerns are, they just drown it out with the usual, "Get good! You don't know how difficulty works. Guy selects hardest difficulty and is surprised when the game is difficult" comments. I'm just saying, no game is perfect, and it's completely fine for a game to have some flaws. After completing the game on Give Me God of War, cause I'm a man, I realized how little effort went into this shit. The gear progression is linked to your narrative progression. This feels like hot ass because this not only locks you out of skill upgrades, but also makes the armor system redundant. Yeah, I know big words too. As I was saying, because you're always locked, being a few levels behind the enemies, the stat numbers are completely arbitrary, because the only number that matters is the overall gear level. Your gear level is what determines how effective your stats are in combat, but again, because you're always under the mark, your stats mean jack. Combat really starts feeling good towards the very end of the game, where you finally get useful armor, runes, and talismans that are not only powerful, but actually scale you above the enemies. Also, the only thing the devs did to make the enemies tougher, quote unquote, is multiply the health and damage. They just added a multiplier and called it a day. It seems like they didn't even bother to fine-tune it to each enemy either, since even the ranged enemies that would normally have a lower HP than melee enemies are just as tanky, while also still being agile as shit. They're also in most enemy setups, which ruins the flow of combat completely. Instead of getting to lay the smackdown on the beef melee mountains, I gotta play a game of Pop Goes the Weasel and when will Atreus land an arrow? Nothing about this is difficult, just really damn annoying most of the time. Using the unlockable skills and some runic attacks are also a waste of time. Because enemies can sometimes just tank all your hits without getting staggered, it makes going for long combos or using attacks with long animations a no-go. I just feel like the potential for me to be stuck in animation while an enemy tanks the hits and kills me is too high. Hopefully those of you who made it this far take the time to understand what I said. Give Me God of War isn't so much as difficult as it is tedious. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to make anybody hate this game. Honestly, I did enjoy this game. But I also want to make it known that just like any other game, this one's got a few flaws and that's 100% fine. At this point, I've rolled credits on my Give Me God of War playthrough, so you can leave your get good comments in the bin. And seeing as my favorite parts of the game were the Valkyrie fights, including Sigrun, you can start hitting backspace on your little guys, surprise, hardest difficulty is hard comments. Quick shout out to the jackasses that say, no one told you to play on Give Me God of War. The whole reason I picked it in the first place was because I welcomed the challenge. I wanted to test my skills, but I ended up testing mostly my patience. But I don't regret my choice one bit. Overall, it's still a fantastic game despite its flaws. No game can truly be perfect after all. There's a great story, beautiful visuals, and even some great combat if you're willing to tolerate a few things. Even despite my endless bitching, whining, moaning, and groaning to my friends on Discord while I kept collecting refunds on my own ass, I had fun. A lot of fun. But it makes sense now that this game is all about reaching the top of a mountain. Because for what it is, this game is peak. Yeah, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.